James Grundy.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Firstly, I should like to thank the Secretary of State for his support in securing the funding for the reopening of Golborne Station in my constituency of Leigh, and of course his excellent ministerial team for all the other work they've been doing as well. The £15 million from the Government's Transforming Cities Fund will ensure the long-held ambition of my constituents in Golborne to reopen our railway station is realised, with the timetable for the completion of the new station currently set to be 2026-2027, although I do hope we can bring that target forward, and I would welcome the opportunity to meet with the Secretary of State to discuss that issue. Secondly, Mr Deputy Speaker, I also welcome the investment the Government is making in terms of signalling improvements to create capacity on the Castlefield corridor, which would allow a station serving Leigh to be built at Kenyon Junction, the first railway junction built in the entire world, just south of the Adderley Way, another long-held ambition of my constituents, and a much-needed one. Next, Mr Deputy Speaker, I should like to talk about the Golborne Spur of HS2, and I shall declare my interest. The spur affects my family home, the Grundy family farm, as it does the homes of thousands of my constituents in Loughton and Golborne. The Integrated Rail Plan and Union Connectivity Review have both recommended the Government looks at alternatives to the Golborne Spur, and I strongly welcome that recommendation on behalf of my constituents. I know my honourable friend for Warrington South will strongly agree with me on that point. Finally, I should like to pay tribute to the thousands of local residents and the many local groups who have contributed to the campaign against the Golborne Spur of HS2. In particular, two individuals, though. Linda Graham, who some of you might remember, some of you have been around long enough, will remember was Andy Burnham's former office manager, and a very formidable one at that. And secondly, and more sadly, the late Ted Thwaite, chair of local residents group Lendaf, who sadly passed away just a couple of weeks before the announcement about the review into the Golborne Spur was announced. He was a great man who spent, many people would spend their 70s with their feet up, sat on the couch. Ted spent his 70s campaigning for his village and his community. And as his great friend Bob said when he was giving his eulogy at his funeral, you know, if Ted has anything to do with it, that review will go the right way. So I will finish there. I will say, please listen to the residents of Loughton and Golborne and all the thousands of letters and petitions they have sent in to you over the years. Please scrap the Golborne Spur of HS2.
My honourable friend, the member for Leigh, welcomed the investment in Golborne Station and the Castlefield corridor improvements, whilst also putting on record again the concerns of his constituents about the Golborne Spur. Mr Deputy Speaker, thanks to my honourable friend's campaigning and the campaigning of my honourable friend, the member for Warrington South, those concerns have been heard loud and clear, and he knows we are currently reflecting on alternatives. The member for Preston.